understandable English podcast.
Learn English the easy way.
Where is the marching band, Jessica? Where are the bald eagles flying over my house? I woke up this morning and it is completely quiet outside.
Good morning to you too, Bryan. Let me guess. You woke up expecting to step outside into a Hollywood movie scene.
Exactly. I feel like I was promised something different. You know, I have seen so many movies where the 4th of July is this massive, perfectly organized event. Everyone is wearing red, white, and blue. There is a parade on every street. But I look out my window and my neighbor is just washing his car. In silence.
Well, welcome to the Understandable English podcast, where we bring you the shocking truth about ordinary life. I hate to break it to you, Bryan, but most of us are just hoping it doesn't rain so we can cook some hot dogs outside.
It is honestly a little disappointing. But it actually reminds me of this amazing story I read on a forum last night. I was scrolling through a community page where people share their life stories, and this one guy posted about his very first 4th of July in the United States.
Oh, I can already imagine the culture shock. It is always funny to see how the rest of the world views our summer holiday.
It was hilarious, but also so sweet. So this guy, let's call him Marco, moved here from Europe for work. He had only been in the country for a couple of months, and a coworker invited him to a 4th of July party. Marco was so excited. He really wanted to make a good impression.
That is a dangerous combination. High expectations and wanting to impress your new coworkers.
Exactly. So Marco decided he was going to tag along with his office friend to this party. He had watched all these American movies and he thought this was going to be a very formal, highly patriotic ceremony. He thought there would be speeches. He thought there would be a dress code.
Oh no, please tell me he did not rent a costume.
Worse, he went shopping and bought a fully tailored bright red suit with a blue shirt and a white tie. He actually wrote in his post that he was trying to blend in. He thought everyone would be dressed like this.
A red suit at a backyard barbecue in July. He must have been sweating just thinking about it.
He really hyped up the event in his own mind. He even memorized the first verse of the national anthem because he thought everyone was going to stand in a circle and sing it together before they ate.
That is incredibly charming, but also the most stressful way to prepare for a party. I feel so bad for him.
I know. So he drives up to this house with his friend, and immediately he realizes he has made a terrible mistake. There are no marching bands. There are no speeches. It is just extremely low-key.
Just a bunch of people standing around in shorts and sandals, right?
Exactly. He walks into the backyard in his beautiful red suit, and he sees the host, a guy named Dave, wearing cargo shorts and a t-shirt with a mustard stain on it. Dave is just standing over a cheap metal grill, burning hamburgers.
Dave is the true hero of American independence.
People are sitting on plastic chairs in the grass. Kids are running through a garden sprinkler to stay cool. There's a table covered in bags of potato chips and maybe one sad bowl of fruit. Marco said he just stood there, shining in his red suit, feeling like an absolute alien.
I am laughing, but I also want to give Marco a hug. What did Dave say?
This is the best part. Dave didn't even care. Dave just looked at Marco, handed him a burnt hamburger on a paper plate and said, "Nice suit, man. Want some ketchup?" And that was it. Marco realized the holiday completely failed to live up to his movie expectations, but in the best way possible.
That is such a perfect summary of what this holiday actually is. We export this huge, dramatic image of patriotism to the world, but the reality is just paper plates and mosquito spray. By the way, if you are listening and you have ever worn the completely wrong clothes to a party, tell us in the comments. Bryan, I am sure you have done this at least once.
Oh, definitely. I once wore a full suit to a beach wedding because the invitation said formal. Everyone else was barefoot. I sank into the sand like a rock.
That explains so much about your personality. But honestly, Marco's story is so relatable for anyone trying to understand a new culture. You try so hard to do everything perfectly, and then you realize everyone else is just relaxing.
Yes. And Marco said he ended up taking off his jacket, rolling up his sleeves, and eating 3 hot dogs. He had the best time. But Jessica, since you grew up here, I need to know, has the 4th of July always been this simple? Did you ever have the grand movie experience?
No, never. In fact, my memories of the 4th of July are wonderfully chaotic, but on a very small scale. It was always a family event, very low-key. We would go to my uncle's house in the Midwest. And let me tell you, there is no Hollywood glamour in a Midwest backyard in July.
Let me guess. Heavy humidity and millions of insects?
Exactly. You are sweating just standing still. My mom would spend hours making potato salad, and my uncle would obsess over his fireworks display.
Wait, he did his own fireworks? Is that even legal?
Legal is a strong word. Let's just say it was heavily tolerated by the neighborhood. My uncle treated his fireworks like it was an Olympic event. He would plan the sequence for weeks. He bought all these different boxes from a tent on the side of the highway.
Why is it always a tent on the side of the highway? That never seems safe.
It is definitely not safe, but it is tradition. Anyway, he would set up lawn chairs for all of us in the driveway. He would make us sit way back near the garage. Then he would put on these thick leather gloves and safety glasses, looking like a mad scientist.
I love your uncle already. He was taking this very seriously.
Oh, extremely seriously, but the reality never managed to live up to his grand vision. He would light the fuse, run away in slow motion like an action hero, and then nothing. Just a small pop and some green smoke.
Oh no, the grand finale was just smoke?
Often, yes. Sometimes one would shoot into the sky and be beautiful, but half the time it was just a loud noise that terrified the neighbor's dog. But we sat there every single year, clapping and cheering for his green smoke. That was our Independence Day.
That is so sweet, though. It is not about the quality of the fireworks. It is about the fact that your uncle wanted to put on a show for the family.
Exactly. And that is what I think people miss when they look at this holiday from the outside. The 4th of July is not really about national pride in an aggressive or formal way. It is just an excuse to gather your people in the middle of the summer.
I think that is why Marco loved it so much. When you are a foreigner in a new country, big formal traditions can feel intimidating. If there are strict rules, you worry about breaking them.
Right. If you don't know the songs or the history or the exact right words to say, you feel like an outsider.
But you don't need a history degree to eat a hot dog in a backyard. Marco realized that he was totally welcome just as he was. Dave didn't ask him to prove he belonged. Dave just offered him ketchup.
Ketchup is the universal language of acceptance in America.
It really is. If this kind of cultural misunderstanding sounds familiar to any of you listening, please leave a like on this episode. It really helps the podcast, and it makes us feel better about all the times we have looked foolish in other countries.
Especially Bryan. He needs the support.
Hey, I am just very enthusiastic. But you know, talking about this makes me realize something deeper about how communities work. We put so much pressure on holidays to be perfect.
We really do. We see photos on social media of beautiful, color-coordinated parties, and we think that is normal. But normal is usually a little messy.
Exactly. Real life is messy. Real life is burnt food and cheap fireworks. And I think that is a huge relief. It means you don't have to perform. You can just exist.
I completely agree. When I look back at my childhood holidays, I don't remember the fireworks that worked perfectly. I remember my uncle's funny safety glasses. I remember the smell of bug spray. Those small imperfections are what make memories stick in your brain.
Yes, the imperfections are the best part. I mean, think about Marco in his red suit. If he had just worn a normal t-shirt, he would have forgotten that party by now. But because he made that mistake, he now has a fantastic story for the rest of his life.
And now we are telling his story on a podcast. It all worked out for him. I do hope he eventually bought some comfortable shorts, though.
I'm sure he did. You know, thinking about Marco trying to fit in at that party reminds me of the language we use when we talk about expectations. We actually naturally used some really great phrases today.
We did. It is interesting how much of our vocabulary is built around hoping things are good and then dealing with the reality when they aren't.
Let's talk about the first one. Earlier, I said Marco wanted to go to the party with his coworker. I said he decided to tag along.
Yes, to tag along. This is a very common, casual phrase. It simply means to go somewhere with someone, especially if they are the one who was originally invited, or if they are leading the way. You are just accompanying them.
Right. If you're going to the grocery store, I might say, "Can I tag along?" It means I want to go with you, but I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
Exactly. It is very low pressure. And speaking of low pressure, that leads us right into the next phrase. Bryan mentioned that Marco arrived at the party and realized it was very low-key.
Low-key is one of my favorite descriptions for an event, or even a person.
It is a great phrase. If something is low-key, it means it is relaxed, quiet, and not fancy. There is no stress. A low-key party is just friends in a backyard, not a formal dinner with a seating chart.
I definitely prefer low-key weekends now. When I was younger, I always wanted things to be loud and exciting. I always hyped up my plans.
Hyped up. That is our third phrase. To hype something up means to talk about it with a lot of excitement, trying to make it seem like a huge, amazing deal. You build a lot of anticipation for it.
Marco hyped up the 4th of July in his mind. He expected a massive Hollywood production. He wanted to look perfect for it, which is why he wore that bright red suit. He was really trying to blend in.
But a bright red suit is the opposite of blending in. To blend in means to look like everyone else, or act like everyone else, so that people don't notice you are different. You become part of the background.
Yes, like a chameleon changing colors. If you go to a new school, you usually just want to blend in on the first day. You don't want to stand out.
Exactly. And because Marco had expected this formal event, the backyard barbecue completely failed to live up to his expectations.
Live up to. This is our last phrase, and it is so useful. To live up to something means to match the high standards or expectations that were set.
If you watch a movie that everyone says is a masterpiece and you think it is boring, you can say, "It didn't live up to the hype. It didn't reach the level you expected."
But in Marco's case, the reality didn't live up to his movie expectations, but he loved it anyway. Sometimes reality is better than the hype.
That is very true. And honestly, a good low-key barbecue is much better than a stressful formal event any day of the week.
Well, I am feeling a lot better about my quiet neighborhood today. Maybe I will go outside, buy some hot dogs, and see if anyone wants to join me. No red suits allowed.
That sounds like a perfect American holiday, Bryan. Keep it simple.
I will. Thank you all so much for listening to this holiday special of the Understandable English podcast. We hope this helped you understand a little bit more about American culture, and we hope you learned some great English along the way.
We always appreciate you spending your time with us. Remember to check out the description for more resources and have a wonderful week wherever you are in the world.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
So yesterday, I wanted to buy a new grill, and the salesman totally hyped up this expensive model, so I let my neighbor tag along to help me carry it. But when we finally started cooking, it really didn't live up to the price, so now I'm just trying to blend in with the smoke while we have a very low-key pizza night instead.
You are never allowed to organize a party again.